Such is the story of Kanji Yakutani, a Tokyo University professor who tirelessly works every day to advance mankind's knowledge of medicine. One day, he meets a representative from a pharmaceutical company who commends his work and assures him that his research will save many patients in the future. However, the representative expresses concern about the professor's excessive working hours. Although the professor's dedication is commendable, the representative worries that such relentless work cannot be sustained without consequences. One day, absorbed in his work, the professor is alerted to the long hours he has been working and experiences dizziness upon standing. Despite this, he continues with energy bars and regains composure. The root of his unhealthy work ethic becomes apparent as he consumes energy snacks and notices a picture of his late younger sister on the desk. His sister died of a brain tumor when he was a boy, and he remembers promising her that the medicine would make everything all right. Unfortunately, the medicine failed, and she succumbed to a slow and painful death. Witnessing her suffering, the professor felt helpless and heartbroken. Determined never to give in, he resolved to develop medicines to prevent others from experiencing such helplessness. Eventually, his body succumbs to exhaustion, and he dies in his sleep, only to wake up in the body of a young boy named Pharma. Pharma, greeted by the cheerful maid Latte, learns that he was struck by lightning and introduces herself as his maid. She reveals a mark on his shoulder, supposedly the mark of the god of medicine Panictheos. Latte explains that Pharma is the son of a court pharmacist named Bruno, with a family dedicated to serving as doctors for the royal family. Pharma discovers that he was well versed in divine arts, a skill that sets nobles apart from commoners. Alone in his room, he visualizes and realizes he can use magic proficiently. Pharma's understanding of the periodic table grants him the power to manipulate any element, while his knowledge of biology and chemistry allows him to control that power. Latte is delighted by his abilities, and he later checks if he can recall his medical knowledge. Pharma finds that the medical knowledge in this world lags generations behind his own. During dinner, he convinces his father that he has recovered, resuming his studies with his tutor Eleanor, who educates him in pharmacology and divine arts. Despite the noticeable change in his personality, Pharma attributes it to amnesia, and Eleanor decides to focus on the basics of divine arts. She elaborates that the divine arts encompass 5 major classes: earth, air, fire, water, and none. However, none is largely considered a myth, as no one has demonstrated its use in the past 300 years. Pharma inquires about the ability to manipulate and eliminate every single element, but she dismisses the existence of such power, stating that an individual possessing it would be an enigma or a monster. Upon hearing this, Pharma decides not to disclose the fact that he can indeed perform what she deems impossible. Eleanor then proceeds to a practical demonstration. She conjures water using her wand and asks Pharma to do the same. Not only does Pharma perform the task without uttering the incantation, but he also releases an almost immeasurable amount of water into the sky. This astonishes Eleanor, who checks his magic capacity and finds it has reached infinity. Additionally, Pharma possesses the divine eye, which can detect any illnesses. Overwhelmed by the scope of Pharma's abilities, Eleanor likens him to the incarnation of Panictheos, their god of medicine. Eleanor notices Pharma doesn't cast a shadow, leading her to tear up and run away. Despite the unexpected reaction, Pharma's father later informs him that Eleanor has fallen ill with a fever and wishes to retire from tutoring him for some undisclosed reason. Pharma is tasked with delivering medicine to her, and after improvising it, he arrives at her place. Eleanor is unwell and terrified of him. Pharma sincerely asks her to resume tutoring him, emphasizing that despite his powers, he is still a novice in understanding the divine arts. Eleanor eventually agrees, realizing Panictheos is meant to be benevolent. Pharma observes that the household servants are suffering from various ailments, prompting him to use his divine eye to aid them medically. The servants appreciate his efforts, with some even crying. This experience leads Pharma to recognize that medicine should be a basic human right, and he decides to find a way to make it accessible and affordable for everyone. An emergency meeting reveals that Pharma's sister has contracted chickenpox, and his father warns him to be cautious. Despite the warning, Pharma uses his modern medical knowledge to create a cure, secretly treating his sister. To conceal his divine eye, he makes Blanche promise to keep it a secret. The miraculous recovery surprises Bruno, Pharma's father. Subsequently, Pharma creates a pocket-sized microscope to enhance the power of his divine eye. Bruno summons Pharma to join him in visiting Empress Elizabeth, who is critically ill. Upon arrival at the royal palace, they find it filled with important people, and it is evident that the Empress's health is deteriorating rapidly. Bruno examines her blood using magic and consults an astrologist, concluding that she is likely to pass away the following night. When the Empress asks about her fate, Bruno falsely claims his medicine will work, although Pharma knows it is just anesthesia. Everyone seems resigned to the Empress's fate, but Pharma refuses to accept it. Using his divine eye, he diagnoses her with lung cancer and tuberculosis. Despite the limited time and lack of modern equipment, Pharma believes he can save the Empress. Encouraged by the arrival of the Empress's son, he seeks permission to prepare a medicine. Confused, the Empress grants him permission. Confined in a room, Pharma begins his work, but is interrupted by Bruno, who reveals that the Empress is suffering from the incurable White Death. Pharma is surprised, as his father could accurately diagnose her without exceptional abilities. Bruno questions Pharma's sincerity and the elaborate false hope he's giving the Empress. Pharma, however, asserts that his medicine will work and that he himself is suffering from White Death. Bruno becomes aggressive, but Pharma stops his attacks without an incantation. Examining Pharma's journal, Bruno discovers numerous medicines he didn't know about and realizes Pharma was blessed with medical revelations by Panic Theos. Later, when Pharma presents the medicine to the Empress, the court physician questions if they should stop him. Bruno acknowledges that Pharma's skills surpass his own, and Pharma uses his pocket microscope to show the bacteria affecting the Empress. The revelation changes the perspective on illnesses, and Pharma claims that with his medicine, the Empress can recover in 6 months. She agrees to take the medicine, marking a significant success for Pharma. On their way home, Bruno reflects on his approach to medicine and wonders if he has failed as a parent. Pharma reassures him that despite his powers, he still needs his father's guidance to learn how to be a doctor. Bruno accepts this sentiment and takes the medicine for his own White Death. Pharma discusses making the cure public with Bruno, who warns him of potential backlash, considering it could be seen as heresy. Bruno also speculates that someone may have intentionally brought the White Death to the palace to assassinate the Empress. Pharma disagrees with the assassination theory, as a virus with a 10% infection rate doesn't make for a reliable weapon. Bruno wonders how long it will take him to reach Pharma's level and expresses pride in his son. Pharma is later informed by a young noble from the palace that the Empress wants to reward him with anything he desires. Pharma seizes the opportunity to request permission to open his own pharmacy, treating nobles and commoners equally. The Empress grants him permission, and Pharma names his pharmacy Parallel World Pharmacy, unintentionally inspired by a worker's misunderstanding. The story suggests that complications are yet to come. The leader of the Pharmaceuticals Guild arrives to mock Pharma's pharmacy. Elena firmly dismisses him in an attempt to discourage them. Despite initial reservations, Pharma hires Lant, a 9-year-old with dedication, and Bruno, Pharma's father, provides a retired accountant, Cedric, to assist. Pharma also treats Cedric's failing legs, grateful for his father's support. Pharma realizes running a business is challenging, with few customers in the first month. Lant's survey reveals commoners are intimidated by the pharmacy, fearing punishment for mistakes. Pharma addresses this by displaying medicine prices outside, making the environment less intimidating. The first return customer, an old sailor named Jean, buys scurvy-curing sweets. Pharma's parents, a masked couple, turn out to be the visitors. Pharma shows them around, expressing concerns about the lack of customers. Beatrice suggests selling cosmetics, but Bruno warns about lead in face powder. Despite this, Pharma embraces the idea, attracting a noble named Chloe who becomes a loyal customer. Business picks up, and Chloe suggests a subsidiary for cosmetics. Pharma agrees, ensuring laid-off female pharmacists find employment. Empress Elizabeth bans lead-based products, advising others to adopt Pharma's recipes. She also suggests a balanced pricing strategy. Pharma's family receives land from the Empress and business thrives. While Pharma is at the beach with Latte, Elainer, and his sister Blanche, a tide sweeps Blanche away. Desperate, Pharma uses his powers to erase seawater, rescuing Blanche. Witnesses report the incident to the Holy Diocese, leading to an order for Pharma's execution. Cloaked priests observe Pharma, and later, his pharmacy is attacked. Sailor Jean and others help clean up. Pharma falls into a trap, facing priests who consider him an evil spirit. His powers and the mark of Panic Theos lead the head priest, Solomon, to contemplate suicide. Pharma stops him, heals the injured, and gains Solomon's loyalty. Solomon keeps Pharma's identity secret and offers gifts, including a talisman to cast a shadow. Pharma establishes a guild to counter the Pharmaceuticals Guild, but a pharmacist from the rival guild faces a crisis when his daughter falls ill. Despite guild restrictions, Pharma treats the girl, earning praise and admiration. The rival guild leader, aware of Pharma's influential connections, struggles with the growing reputation of the parallel world pharmacy. In the narrative, the guild master shares a personal tragedy involving the loss of his child due to a noble doctor's refusal to treat. Consequently, he harbors a deep mistrust of nobles. Pierre, the protagonist, faces adversity as his shop is destroyed and his license revoked. Despite this, he joins Pharma's new pharmacy guild, learning and implementing Pharma's techniques at his new pharmacy, Dawn Pharmacy. Pharma's impact on public health is recognized by Empress Elizabeth, highlighting his role in the kingdom's prosperity.